Welcome back. In this video, it's all about getting names. So I've received a number of inboxes this week alone on names and the importance of names, and people really trust, or they really need a name while doing mediumship. That goes for both parties. That will be the medium and the recipient. So in this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. Don't know what's going on with my voice today. It seems to be a little bit strange, so my apologies. Anyway, so the names in mediumship, how do we do that? And I'm trying to think of like simple techniques for you to try and work with, and try and understand that it's not as important as you think it is. Now, we've all got those jars on the side in our kitchen where we've got like a tea, a coffee and a sugar kind of jar, or jar. And all of them have it on there somewhere, whether that be in print or whatever. Some are see-through, my ones are see-through, and you can see the tea bags, you can see the sugar, you can see the coffee. And when I go to make that drink, it's like I know which one I need to grab. It doesn't matter for the label that's on there. And sometimes I've opened it up and it's been the wrong one. It's got sugar on it, and I've put the tea bags in the sugar, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly the same as a name within mediumship. The name can be in conjunction with. The problem that we have is we're all comfortable with the names that we've got, you know, the Marys, the Jacks, the Johns, so on and so forth throughout our time. That was the generation, and that generation, are mostly in the spirit world now. So it makes sense that these generic names will come up. However, as time's gone on, the names are getting more and more weird and wonderful. And so it's going to be very testing to get the names correct later on in mediumship. I dread to think what's going to happen in sort of 20 years' time. And so the people that have been asking me over this last week are trying to dial in the name. They're trying to work it within mediumship so they can start with their name. So I'll go through that process first. So the easiest exercise that I know that you can work names into your mediumship is that you have to get your consciousness to work with the subconsciousness. That's just a faculty of mediumship. And so what you have to do is you have to start remembering names. You have to, and I'm a nightmare for remembering names. I can work with someone all day in a workshop and I'll totally forget their name. And the people, some of you watching this video, that may be you, where I've just gone, you, and because I've just forgot their name. I'm an absolute nightmare with it. And so the reason I'm like that now is I used to be fantastic with names. You know, I would work in a factory, and there would be like 40 guys, and over time you learn all their names. You have to remember their names. You're asking them to do jobs for you, so on and so forth. And so I was good at names. It was something that I worked into my mediumship very easily because I was remembering names all the time. But then it got to a point where I was serving a lot of churches. It tends to be in the churches where the audience or the congregation member would say, well, have you got a name? And it really annoyed me because I could build up this wonderful essence of a character. Maybe it's your father, and and I'm talking about what he's doing in his day job and what he does in his spare time, and his exact passing condition and his car registration and his door number and the street name. And at the end they'll go, well, have you got a name? And it would just annoy me. It would really annoy me. So I started to leave the names out of mediumship, because I could have dressed up James down the road, but gave him all Dad's information, and you would just accept it as James because I gave the name James. And so this was something that I realised was quite important within mediumship, that the name actually is just the label. It's just the title we have for someone. It doesn't bring forward that essence of the individual that we're working with. But so many of you want it because my inbox has gone crazy this week. So here's the exercise to get you going with names. What you have to do is you have to introduce yourself to absolutely everyone in the conscious state. So in your normal day, you're wandering around, and every single person you speak to, you introduce yourself. You're gonna look mental. You're gonna look like you have a serious problem, and that spiritual stuff that you're looking into is not doing you any favors. Because everybody, your mum, your brother, your sister, your dad, every single person that knows you, you need to introduce yourself. And every time you go, hi, my name's Charlie, the other person, they'll get the ump. I promise you, they'll get the ump. Is because what you're doing is you're training the conscious mind to introduce yourself. So the subconscious mind also will introduce yourself. And then when we go to the spirit world, you just naturally go into that format or that way of working by introducing yourself. So as the spirit world approach, it'll be, hi, my name's Charlie, and just in human nature, we usually respond, especially if it's a stranger. We put our arm out, or we go for a hug or a kiss on the cheeks, whatever it'll be, and we will introduce ourselves because the other person has introduced themselves. That technique works wonderfully well. It takes about 2 weeks, and it will be into your mediumship very, very freely. The problem that you're going to have after that is, are you going to say the name? So you all want names, and you all say you'll give them, and you'll all go, I want that, it will just help my mediumship so much, I just want to be able to get the name. But then you don't speak the name. And so you don't get to do that afterwards. You don't get to get some feedback and sit down and talk with the person that you were working with in circle, or you're practicing on, in your free time. And then at the end go, oh, I had the name Fred as well. So it don't count. It don't count there. The idea of mediumship is that you're talking of a story that you have no understanding of, that you have no clue about, you have no information on. And yet we will quite freely talk about water sports, or we'll quite freely talk about some weird collection of animal blood, or that list is absolutely endless, but you won't give the name Fred. It's just ridiculous. So that is something you have to do. You have to give the name if it comes in. Now what will happen is that the moment you start connecting to the spirit world, because you're constantly looking for the name, you're missing so many other bits of vital information. It's just something that will damage your mediumship because you're waiting for the name. I promise you that when I'm working on my workshops, which are so regular now, and when I'm doing like the residentials, or I'm teaching people in any context, they only have to say to me, I have an 18-year-old girl here and she is the life and soul of a party. I know that's my sister. I don't need the relationship, and I don't need the name, because the essence they're about to build up is this wild character that I remember so well. However, if you are someone that's sort of beaten along the bush and you're kind of not really hitting the mark with evidence, obviously names can dial that right in for you, but you do have to speak it. What will happen as well is, in association with everybody, as they come in, it comes in this full package. You get their entire life story. That may mean that you get their wife's name, or their husband's name, or their closest friends, or their children, because it'll be so free within their energy and their information that you don't know where to place that name. So it's not enough to just say, I have Robert here. We need to do it and then place the name. And it may be that it feels close, or it feels at distance, or it feels like my name. And so then we have to then start producing the goods there also. It's not enough to just go, I get Mary, I get Jack, I get John. It's like you need to be able to deliver that in the communication aspect. I'm working with a father here. I know he passes at the age of 67, and he was an engineer in metalwork all his life. He makes me aware his name is John, and he is someone's father, and then the hand will go up. So it's the placement of that. I promise you, you're focusing way, way, way too much on the name. And that's your need, not the client's need, most of the time. Sometimes the clients will want it. But most of it is your need. You feel like you will do something better if you have their name. So we have to look at self. What is it you're worrying about? What is it? Do you need to look good? Do you need to have the name? Do you need to deliver it off that way? And that's a self issue. That's not the spirit world's issue. That's you getting in the way of the communication. There are lots of other things that you can sort of work into. You can get a names book and you can look at the names, the various names. You buy these children's names books now, can't you? That'd be something you can just flick through on a daily basis. Or if you're someone that watches the TV, you can see how the energy feels when these game shows are starting. You know, hi, my name's Steve and I'm from Halifax and I'm a lorry driver. It's that kind of thing. Pause it, because we've all got the TVs now, like Sky Plus and so on and so forth. We can pause it and see what that feels like, and we start getting the measuring stick that we need for the names within our mediumship. There is no quick fix here. There is nothing that you're just going to turn on your mind and it's just going to start dropping in for you. This is going to take a little bit of legwork. This is going to take a little bit of practice. This is something that you need to work in, because if names were so free to you, you would already be doing it in your mediumship. So if you're someone that works at reception in the doctor's office, or a place where you have to constantly take names and addresses, names and addresses should come so freely to you because of the forms that you fill in. Maybe, you know, like at the doctor's surgery, they'll go, hi, what's your need? And they'll say, oh, I've got a bad back or something like that. I need to see Dr. Jones. And they go, okay, what's your name? And they'll write down your name, and then your address and everything comes up. So in their mind, it would be something very free to have the name. You need that process works into your conscious state and your subconscious state for the mediumship to work freely. I hope that makes sense to some of you that have been asking. It's really not easy, and it is a very difficult process to introduce into your mediumship. But once in your mediumship, you'll realise, was it so important? Was it worth all the legwork that I was putting in? But that's entirely up to you. My style is that it doesn't matter whether the name comes or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I feel the spirit world know whether to give me the name and with me to go with it, because I say everything that comes into my mind. So at that point, if the name's important, I feel that the name is offered there. The spirit world taught me a lesson many years ago now, and they offered me 3 jars. And it was in like a meditation. I was sitting with the spirit world, and maybe this story will help you a little bit for those of you asking. And one strawberry jam was introduced to me. It was a jar of strawberry jam. It said strawberry jam. It looked like strawberry jam. And then they gave me a spoon and they said, taste it. And so I tasted it and I was like, yep, that's strawberry jam. Then they offered me blackcurrant jam. So it said blackcurrant jam. It looked like blackcurrant jam. I opened the lid. They handed me a spoon. I tasted it. It was blackcurrant jam. And then there was the 3rd jar. And on the 3rd jar it said lemon curd. But inside it looked orange. And so I was like, that don't look like it matches up. They opened up the spoon, the jar, handed me a spoon. I took a taste and it was marmalade. And they said to me, so what was the point of the label there? Sometimes the label is wrong. Sometimes it's not what it says on the tin. Sometimes you have to have the essence of what's inside. And in that moment, I realised exactly what the spirit world were teaching me. So hopefully you can take something from that. This video was just knocked together very quickly, so it's knocked me off my little pathway that I was doing. I'll probably talk about blending with your communicator and the spirit world in the next video, because it was something I was going to do. But these inboxes on names were flying in thick and fast, so I knew that I had to cover the video. If you like the video, please like it. Comment if there's any addition to trying to get names, or trying to help the viewers with their mediumship in allowing their name into their mediumship. Feel free to drop that in the comment box. I'll step to the side to let YouTube give you its suggestion for the next video here and here. And if you aren't subscribed, you subscribe down here somewhere. And I'll see you all next time, possibly Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week.